Welcome here to the TESS training, the advanced techniques that involve the advanced package. So again, thank you everybody for kind of accommodating the craziness that happened this afternoon with my daughter having to go to the ER. That was not part of the plan, but in any case, we have some really actually think good things to highlight here with the advanced package. This is by no means everything that you can do with the advanced package, but it's probably about as far as most people would want to go right now. And so in the coming months, I will actually be putting together probably some even shorter trainings. We can do them live, or I can record them for some of the other bits and bobs that are available with the advanced package. So the first thing that I want to share with you guys is the proposal. And to me, that's actually probably one of the most powerful tools, because it sends all of the details of whatever kind of trip you are quoting for someone, with all of the different possible options to them, so that they can actually see and compare side by side without you having to do a ton of typing, which is kind of nice, or formatting, because it kind of formats it for you. So to do that, we're actually going to start here from the trip page, just because it's kind of a nice place to start. And we're going to go over here to our green plus symbol, and we're going to click on proposal. Now, if you don't have the advanced package, this option is not available to you. So that's why I kind of tried to stay away from it with other things. So with the proposal, it actually looks just like a trip when everything comes up. So we're going to choose the trip type of a vacation. We're going to do a start date. I'm actually going to type it in because I don't feel like messing with the calendar. So we're going to go June 17th, 2020 to June 24th, 2020. And we are going to do Stevens, Carrie, graduation trip, St. Lucia, June 2020. Okay, so again, not so bad. So I can actually go ahead then and I can save it, which is fine. And now you've got basically two options where you can go. You can go here to add a traveling package, or you can add your travelers. So we're going to add a traveling package first. And in this case, we can add anything we want. We can include flights here if we want. We can include resort hotel. So basically, just think of it as if you're building the trip. So for here, I'm going to add a resort hotel, and I want to put them at the Windjammer. St. Lucia. Oh, it's Windjammer Landing. There we go. Bingo. Okay. So we've got that. Now, they always require you to choose an option. I just always choose general. Now, in this case, it is an all-inclusive resort, but I choose general because the room itself is general. And then I can choose a reservation category for this one. And so in this case, I am going to do, let's see, I'm going to do a 2-bedroom ocean view. Okay. And the price on this is going to be $7,834.24. All right. Now, obviously, there's some other things that I can include with this. I can include some flights. So I can include that. I can include any excursions that they want to do. You could either add a tour if you wanted to do that, or I could just add an activity like an excursion there, or general information. You could also have transfers in there where you can throw in pricing for, let's say, if it's an Orlando-based trip, whether it's from Sanford down to Disney, or MCO over to Universal, you know, or Disney to Universal, any of those types of things. You can include all of that, which is kind of nice. Some places they actually can do specialty dining packages, like on cruises. You can give them those upgraded dining packages. You can also include some of the drink packages. I usually throw those in under general information so that they have that. This is also a nice place where you can throw in some of the options that they have. Like, for instance, Norwegian always does those, you know, free at sea, you know, with the free Wi-Fi, the free drink package, the whatever, the onboard credit based on the ports of call type of thing. So you can include that for your particular clients. So in this case, I'm just actually going to save it right now. Actually, no, you know what? I wanted to show you guys the dining. It's the same, really quickly here. It's the same as what you saw before, but I want to show you how it shows up. So let's say that, you know, we know this isn't a Disney trip. It's just a made up trip. One of the things that you've got to, you've got here is the information, which is the typical standard verbiage here for the Disney dining plan. One of the things you want to pay attention to is, first of all, it automatically defaults to the end date of the trip, which isn't a big deal. But you do have to put a price in here. Now, as we know, with Disney packages, they don't actually list these as separate. So you can just put a 0 in there, and you'll see how that shows up on the proposal here in a minute. Okay, so I'm going to save that traveling package here. And then I'm going to add another traveling package here real quick. I'm going to add another resort hotel. And this one I'm going to do is Coconut Bay. Okay. And I'm going to do general again, room category. That was that one. And we're going to do $8,457.98. Okay. And again, we could add anything else that we wanted to. And we can save that, and we could continue on for as many different options as we wanted. Now, one thing here with a Disney trip specifically, a lot of time, the nice thing is with this is that we can create, you know, a lot of times what we're focusing on with the clients is the resort. So the other package components a lot of times are the same. Unfortunately, right now, I know they are working on it. They don't have a copy feature where you could actually copy a traveling package and have it, you know, copy those details, and then you just switch out the resort. So that is the one kind of bummer thing about it. The nice thing is when you add tickets, a lot of times what I'll do is I'll do like 4-day, or it might help if I don't hit the shift, but say I type in 4-day and I can get my choice between the base and the park hopper. Now, they're technically not called Magic Your Way tickets anymore, but it's fine. It still has the same information. So you can choose that and have those included with the package. So that is a nice thing. It's not like you have to type in everything exactly. You know, I just started typing 4-day and it popped up what I needed. The only ones that aren't really preloaded in here, and I know I said this on an earlier training, but just as a reminder, are the universal ones, just because we've got 3-park, we've got 2-park, we've got base, we've got park to park. There are plethora of specials that come in, the bundles that include the Unlimited Express Pass. So it's okay to go ahead and type whatever you need in here, especially for the ticket type if you're doing a universal ticket. Okay, since we're not doing tickets, I'm just going to delete that one out of there. The one thing that I will do at times is if clients are a little bit unsure, let's say they want to do like a separate component that maybe they're not sure about, and they want to kind of know the pricing. Let's say it's an after hours ticket, or if it's an early morning magic ticket, or if it's a party ticket, whether it's Halloween or Christmas. You can actually just enter those as a straight traveling package for them, and that works out just fine. You know, they know that that's like an optional add-on type of thing. And you know, it's one of those things where sometimes you've got to kind of think back to the conversation you had when you pre-qualified your client. You know, if we talked about dining and I really am suggesting the dining plan, I'm going to keep that as an inclusion in there. If they're not sure about it, you can actually, you know, you have the price of the room, let's say the room and tickets, before you add the dining plan on, you can include that here, okay? And then you'll have the price of adding on the dining, and that difference is always going to be the same, no matter if I'm at Contemporary or if I'm at Caribbean Beach. So, you know, that's what I tend to do is I'll put, you know, if I'm pricing out a package, I'll put the room and ticket package price here. And if they're not sure about dining, I will pop that dining price out there. And that way then, when I'm having my follow-up conversation with them, I can tell them, you know, this is what the dining plan is going to cost you. And this is all that it includes. And with what you're planning on doing for your dining, you know, these are the fixed cost dining options that you have, that you know, nobody can really share. You walk in the door, it's a fixed price, it's a character meal, whatever it is. So that helps drive a lot of my conversations with clients and seeing the value of the dining plan, but also to help them make an informed decision. Okay. Now we want to put in a traveler here, and I'm gonna, now, again, I always put the lead guest as the primary guest, and I'm gonna do, there we go. I'm gonna save that. And I'm just going to leave that like that for right now. Maybe this is early in your conversation and you have not, you know, you've got the information for your main contact of the party, but, you know, it's a party of 4. So how do you know who everybody else is? Well, you may not have gotten that far. You want to get them the pricing quickly. So just put them in as a lead guest. That's perfectly fine. So right now, except for, you know, we're missing kind of the workspace place up here that we talked about last time with our trips. I mean, this looks like a trip. So where the difference comes into play is that you're actually able to take this and actually send this to your clients. So you want to go over here to the communication tab, and you want to click the drop down here, and you will see proposal detail. Now, the proposal detail here, this is the TESS one. All right, so what it's going to do is it's just going to send an email that looks just like this over here at the side. So you can see it really looks nice. So you've got the Coconut Bay Beach Resort and Spa, and it has a picture, talks about the property, it talks about the rooms, it actually talks about the room category specifically that you have chosen for them or that you've priced out for them. It also has the Windjammer here, the Windjammer Landing, and again, goes through some of the amenities, the dining, and the room category. Now, it also does talk about the Disney dining plan, which, as I told you, we threw on there. This is great, and this is wonderful, but this particular template doesn't necessarily give you a place where you can put messages in to your clients. So we're going to talk about how we edit those templates here in a little bit, but just understand you can do that. Now, if you want to make sure that everything's looking the way you want it, and you know, you've looked this over, but you just want to double check and make sure, you can always email a test proposal. And what that will do is it will actually email to you at the email address you have on file with TESS a sample of the proposal. So you can do it that way. If you have the advanced package, you can also export it to PDF. You've got that button. Okay, Arrow, where are you? There you are. You can export to PDF, and that will actually download it for you. So you could attach it to a separate email if you wanted to get very specific and very detailed with the client and have it come, you know, it's going to come kind of from you through TESS, but this way then, you know, if you want to do it directly, you can do it that way. But if you see everything is all set up, then you can actually go ahead and email the proposal to the client. So it's going to ask you to confirm, you know, just wanting to make sure that you want everything to go directly to the client, and you can say yes, and it'll send the email. Now it will log it here in the communication history, and it has it scheduled, and it will view it. And if we do a quick refresh, it should show that it has been sent. Okay, so here it's changed to green. It is completed. So proposals are really great. So let's say I send this proposal out to Marshall, and he comes back to me and he says, you know what, Jen, we really want to book the Windjammer Landing. So, you know, when I log into TESS, I go to my trips page. Ta-da, there is the graduation trip proposal that I have. So I don't have to go back and recreate a trip. This is the best part of the proposal. All right, they don't want to do Coconut Bay. They want to do traveling package number 2, which is Windjammer Landing. This is where this is great. You have that create trip. All you have to do is click on that, and it converts everything over to the trip that you want. Now, some of you may notice here we've got the up arrow and the down arrow, because you can have 5, 6, 7 packages, you know, options here for them. You can actually choose the order that they go into just by clicking on those arrows. So I could actually switch the order. So now you'll see Windjammer is package number 1, Coconut Bay is package number 2. So again, you know, there's some strategy here with your marketing. You know, the longer people read, the less they tend to pay attention. So lead with your, like, the strongest package, the best fit package you think for your client first, so that they don't get frustrated. And that's where, again, where that pre-qualification comes in. But they decided they wanted to do Windjammer Landing, so I'm going to click on Create Trip. Now, what that will do is it brings up a pop-up screen here. So your proposal will get changed to canceled. And what that means is it's just going to drop off your trip screen, which is fine. It's not a proposal anymore. You're actually booking it. It will ask you to confirm the information here with the resort. And let's say that they have an opportunity here to tie in with a group. Let's say it's another you know, part of a group reservation. You can actually search a group trip and actually turn it into a reservation right now as well. So TESS gives you some nice flexibility options with this. And so we're not going to make a group trip out of this, but we're just going to go ahead and create the trip. All right, let's retry this. Why not? And of course, it's not working today. There we go. Okay. For whatever reason, it just didn't like it the first time we tried it. So now we actually have a trip. You'll notice it's a regular trip, and we have the information that pulled over. The resort's here, that dining is here. You know, we don't have any bookings, which we would have to add in, and all of that stuff. But we do have over here on the communications tab, it kind of resets because we're no longer in proposal mode. Now we're in actual trip mode. So once we know that they want to book a trip, we want to get that information from them on the trip that, you know, for all of their traveling companions and all of that kind of stuff. So let's say I know that this is someone who is going to have a second person traveling, but I don't know their name. Okay, and we want to get their credit card information, all that kind of stuff. What I do is this, is I actually go in and I create a second traveler, okay, and I just kind of create a generic name. I can create a generic name of child. Let's say they're going with a child, but they're not. And you can see I've got some other ones in here. But you can also do, you know, things like adult 2 Stevens. And guess what? There's not another one in there. So you could create a new one. And so you can go in, create a new one. You don't know really anything about them, and you just create it. And that's fine. This will get taken care of here in a moment. So I'm going to save that. So I need to get adult 2's information. I also want to make sure that the information I have on file for Marshall is correct. And I also want to make sure that I get their credit card information. So what I'm going to do is I am going to click on the schedule automation email right here. And this is where we start getting into the client portal, which is an opportunity that we have to interact with the clients at their convenience. So the client portal itself is a window where they can go in and check the details of their trip really at any time that they wish. Most of my clients don't really care for that. They'd rather come to me, and that's okay. But at the beginning part of this trip, I would really like to have them be able to give me all of that information without having to spend forever on the phone with them. It tends to be an inconvenience for them, and it also tends to be, you know, they can do it at midnight if they want, and they're not bugging me. So on here, the first thing we want to do with the automation email is select the automation type. Now, you can do client portal activation, which is fine. You can do client portal tasks, which is really what we want. You can also send them an invoice. You can also send them an email as they're getting ready to travel, type of thing. So I'm going to start here with the client portal tasks. So this is where I'm going to create the information, or where I'm going to get the information that I need for their particular trip. Okay, so I need to choose a trip status. So I'm going to choose active here because that's what I have. And the delivery option. Now the delivery option here is either before the trip start date, after the trip end date, or after the email activation. Because we're trying to collect information from them, we want to select after email activation, and we don't want it to wait. We want it to go out right away. So we just down click this to 0. Okay. Now, this last setting really depends on the composition of your group. Okay. For applicable clients, if you want this email to only go to the person who you clicked schedule automation email for, in this case it was Marshall, I can select this client only. If I have emails for all of the clients and I want to verify their information, I can send individual emails to every single client on this trip. If I select the bottom one, only primary clients, even if they are husband and wife, they can see each other's information. So that is something to keep in mind. That's one of the reasons why I usually only designate one person as a primary, and I try to make sure that they understand that they will be able to see everybody else's information for the trip. Just in case it's a family, you know, a weird family situation or friend situation. So this client only, I'm going to do, and I'm going to click on next. Now, what tasks do I want to include? Well, let's add a task. And the first task type that we have is the traveler personal information validation. So what this will do is it will actually have the client go in, and based on the information that you have there, it will ask them to verify name, address, birth date. Okay. The one thing it does not have them verify is their phone number, but I've got another thing for that in there. So requiring address validation, I usually do not, even if I have international travel like this trip is, I'm not going to have them validate their passport because they may not have their passport yet. And if they don't have their passport, they can't validate it and they cannot complete the tasks. And that's a problem because I need to get this information so I can get their trip booked at the rate that I just quoted them. So they will do that. And then I'm going to add another task. My second task is the payment authorization. Okay. I always select on accept credit card. We can accept check, but obviously it's not something we can handle through the portal itself. So I want to get their credit card information. So it has them input their credit card information, the name on the credit card, the billing address, the number, the expiration date, and it will help save it to the profile. So there's just some verbiage there that, you know, it will be saved on file. It is encrypted. And it also just has a little bit of information here with regards to TESS. You know, just make sure that they click the circle to the right of the card to have it encrypted to their profile. I also do have on here a little information about the security code, and just that I will contact them directly. Remember, we talked about this in an earlier training, that we cannot collect the security codes at the same time we collect the card number, so that's why we can't hear, and we're not allowed to store it. So that's one of the reasons why that verbiage is important. The third task that I have is travel protection. So this great part of this is that they can actually accept or decline travel insurance, and you don't have to mess with any of those forms anymore. It's a fabulous thing. They accept or decline it here. Doesn't matter. If they're even just buying tickets, let's say you don't have to do anything else. It's a new trip. They need to either accept or decline the travel protection. Now, it's just in here that we do recommend the purchase of the travel insurance, and that they are assuming any financial loss if they decline it. If they choose that they would like to purchase it, then we can provide different options for them, but we just need to know. Okay, and of course timing on that is always important if they've got pre-existing conditions, so it opens up an avenue of conversation for you with your client. The last task that I typically do for clients, and this one doesn't have a name, but it's custom task 1. And custom task 1 asks them to provide a phone number for each adult guest. So that way then I have phone numbers should I need to get in touch with someone, whether it's the lead guest, whether it's a guest traveling with her, if there's something amiss or something doesn't go right, I can go ahead and I can get that right then. Okay, and then you just click on next. So I've decided the tasks that I am sending to them, and the last step here is that I need to select a template. So we'll get into templates here in a little bit, but the one you want to choose here is, now don't look at the dates. All right, so like one of the agents has created a client portal task verification. There's another one here that I think is also client specific. Yes, this is Jill Skiles. So I need to go in and make sure we put that in front of there. But this one here is the one that you want. It's the TESS library. So it's just generic. You'll see here, it will put in the agent first name, the agent last name. So it does customize it for you. And then you just hit set template, and it will automatically send out that email to the client. So you will see here, you sent them a client portal task verification email, as long as the trip has a status of active, which it does. So this marshal will receive an email, and it will have him actually click on the link to go to the client portal, and he will have to complete those 4 tasks. When he does that, let me see here. Let me hit refresh real quick on this one. Once that is sent, then there we go, because it has been sent. You'll notice here up next to Marshall's name, we have appearing 0 of 4 tasks verified. And then for adult 2 Stevens, 0 of 1 tasks verified. Once those tasks have been verified, that will change to 4 of 4 and 1 of 1. So if I click on this, you'll see it hasn't done any of those. So how about this secondary client? What task are we working with them? It's just their personal traveler information validation. So their name and their address and their birth date. Once that pops up, let me go back to one of my trips here. Yes. No, because I didn't have to do verification for that. I'm just trying to get one here. that I had to, is this one? Yes, okay. So with the Jimenez trip, you can see here, Heather has filled out her tasks. Ruben's tasks have been verified. Walker and Cohen's have as well. So when you click on that, this is kind of what you will see. Now, because I've already received the information and I updated it, nothing has changed here. But basically, what will happen is once they've completed it, this side here will be the things that you had originally. Now, it will show in black what didn't change between the system and the client validation response, and anything that shows in red will be something that the client has changed. Over here, where it says currently the client's personal information matches the system profile, there will be an update button. And all you have to do is click update, and it will not only update it here, but it will actually update it in their client file as well. You can see here I've got their payment authorization. So I have her credit card information. Again, it's encrypted with the expiration date, the billing address, which happens to match their personal travel, but we all know sometimes the billing address is different. There's her signature here. She has accepted the travel insurance, so that's a conversation that she and I have had. You know, do they want Disney insurance? Do they want separate insurance? That type of thing. And you can see here, I also have their phone numbers, so I can actually transfer that. This is the one part that does not transfer, but I know that TESS is looking to make the telephone number part of task 1 that we did up here with the personal information validation, just because we need it for so many things. We need it for when we're inputting payments. You know, they ask for the billing phone number and everything. So they are working on changing that. For the other travelers, you can see here, again, it's just their personal information. It does give the birth dates. And that's why I asked just for everybody's birthday, because it'll automatically update the kids' ages on trip day as I plan subsequent trips for them, and so on. Now notice here that I don't have email addresses for the kids, so I can't send any automation emails. That's fine. That's not a big deal. But I can for the adults. So that's usually what we do. Okay. So I have trips in. You know, I've sent out a proposal. I have created a trip, and now I am ready to, you know, I've done all the legwork, and now my clients are ready to travel. So I want to look at how to do an itinerary. So I'm actually going to use one of mine that I did. I know I showed this to you guys before, which was my San Francisco trip, where we also went to Disneyland. And, you know, I know I showed this to you guys before, again, because we were talking about bookings and how many bookings, but there was a lot. There was a lot on this trip. We stayed at 4 different hotels. We had all these different transfers, you know, flights. And it was nice because I could keep everything all together. So when I was getting ready to travel for myself, I went over here to communication, and on the template, I selected itinerary. Now we have a couple different itineraries. I usually choose, now the itinerary detail with map, I'm just going to show you on the preview because it's not all that spectacular, to be perfectly honest. I mean, yay, I'm going from there to the, you know, it's not super detailed. So, you know, it's giving you the world map, so it looks really fun and really great, but it's really not anything spectacular. So if you're only going to, let's say, Orlando, then it's just going to show a dot basically in Orlando. So I like the itinerary detail. And again, this is what is going to show up for the client. So this is where having all of those things in that time order that I talked about when you put stuff in is important. So, you know, we went down and we stayed at the Spring Hill Suites by Marriott, and then we had used the hotel shuttle to transfer to BWI. We had our flight on United from BWI to San Francisco. We had a car rental, and then we stayed at the Homewood Suites You know, we went up and we did dining at the Gatehouse Restaurant at the Culinary Institute. Then we had our flight to LA. We had an executive car, private van transfer, and so on. So then if we come down to the itinerary detail, now this one's missing a picture for some reason. You know, it was my trip. It wasn't a huge big deal. But this is actually where you will see the confirmation number for that. And, you know, you'll have the other detailed information. So the confirmation numbers aren't going to appear kind of at a glance, but they will appear down below, including your dining reservation information. So here I've got the ticket confirmation. I've got the, you know, the different dining confirmations as well, of the different things that we had. So the nice thing is this saves you a whole lot of work because you've already put it in for the trip. So now, I mean, all of this matches everything that I have here on the trip. So when I want to send something to my clients or even for myself, all I have to do is do that itinerary detail and literally just print it out. I can email it directly to them, but you know, I also include usually some extra stuff, whether it's tip sheets or those types of things that I want to have sent electronically as well. A lot of times I will include a resort map, which is really easy to obtain. There's PDFs of them all over the web, for those that I can find. And you know, but I always also follow up with a hard copy, which may seem a little old-fashioned, and yes, it's a little bit more effort on my part, but that's where I can include things like park maps. That's where I can include things like, you know, my business card, so that, you know, as they're, and I always enclose a couple because as they're talking to friends and family, then they've got them. You know, I can include really whatever they want. If they, you know, I have a separate sheet that I have for how to check in and how to handle Magical Express at Orlando International, and also just kind of a recap of their dining plan. You know, for your dining, we have, you know, X number of table service credits, X number of quick service, X number of snacks. You know, of this, we have reservations for, you know, X number of table service. Maybe we have some, you know, quick service reservations, like with the family style dining at Pizza Fari, with Be Our Guest for breakfast or lunch, those types of things where they count as a quick service credit, but there's reservations that are made. So that they know what we have allocated versus what they have the freedom to do. The other thing I will do on my client itineraries for Disney a lot of times is if I think, you know, now Disneyland doesn't have a dining plan, but let's say here that, you know, Carnation Cafe was a sit down, and that was for breakfast, and then they're doing World of Color dessert party. Well, you know, based on my professional judgment, I would probably put in here, you know, dining, quick service dinner or something like that, just to kind of give the client a clue as to where I would recommend, you know, based on getting to know them over that period of time, where I would recommend that they have, you know, use a credit for a meal. And then on my tip sheets that I send to them, one of the things that I do for each park is I give them, you know, my top 3 quick service dining locations at that particular park. The ones that I found have the best variety, the ones that my clients like the best. If there are special considerations for the client, then I will make sure that I kind of go in and revise that based on maybe allergies that they have, or you know, food likes or dislikes that they may have as well. So it kind of ties them together very nicely for them, and they really feel like I have done a lot of work for them. Not that I haven't, but I've done it once and I'm using it multi-purpose. So, you know, when they call me or they text me, you know, those confused clients who've never used a dining plan before, I'm like, what did we say we were going to do? You can go right in and you can see that as well, which is, again, very, very nice for clients. So itineraries are great. Proposals are fantastic. The client portal makes your life actually a lot easier for collecting client information. The other thing I did want to let you know with that, let me just go back here. Let me do Jimenez here. Let's say that Heather here gets in touch with me and she says, oh, Jen, you know, our credit card got hacked and I have to give you a new one. You know, can you send me a link? Well, sure. You do it exactly like what we just did. You schedule an automation email. You go through this. So I'm going to do client portal tasks, active trip. I want it to go out as soon as possible. All right. And I just want it to go to her. But in this case, the only task I'm going to add is the payment authorization because that's the only thing she needs to change. You know, that's usually part of my conversation. Is that the only thing you need to change? Yes. Okay. I can get that out to her. It literally would take me, you saw, 10 seconds, look up her file, do that, boom, send it out to her. I can get her new credit card information. No problem. Now, the one thing I always do after I send something like this, and I'm not going to send this because it's not going to someone, is I always go in when they tell me they are going to do that, and on their tracking page, I cancel out one of their credit cards. So for instance, actually she did do this. So this was her original one. And then she gave me a second one. But she did that one with me over the phone, and one was for one purpose and one was for the other. This one didn't get hacked, but she wants this one to be where I'm pulling it through, or where I'm pulling payments from. So I just make sure I change that one to the default, and I can also delete a credit card from here. So that is very helpful as well to help keep you straight. All right, so those are kind of things that, you know, again, it's more about the client service. It's more about the actual trips themselves. But with the advanced package, we have some abilities here to do some client automation. And we've kind of hinted at this with some of the workspace tabs and the workspace automation emails that we can do. So here we want to play around with the templates, specifically the email templates. When you come in here, we have 107 of them right now for the agency. So, you know, and you'll see here there's some different ones that they were created by and all that kind of stuff. The email category, so they're all automation. They're all some different things here. So I'm going to want to go to client portal tasks just because that's kind of one of the topics that we have. So these are all of the client portal tasks that have been created. So, you know, like I said, I need to change Jill's here so it just says Skiles, which is fine. But let's take a look here at the one from the TESS sales team. Okay, so this is the one that, you know, when you send it out, this is kind of what it looks like. So it's going to have your logo or, you know, company logo or the company name, and it does personalize it. So you can see here it's got different fields that will fill in. And then this is the button that they would click to review those tasks that we send them. And so that would take them to the secure interface with TESS so that they can input stuff. Now, let's say that I don't like that. Well, we don't want to mess with the TESS template. We kind of want to keep that one standard. So I'm going to go back here real quick and then do the client portal tasks. Now, the one thing you can do here is manage templates. So this actually takes you to kind of a different screen that has kind of a different look. So, and that's okay. But we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to do client portal tasks, and so it's going to narrow that field just like what we saw before. But you'll notice here off to the right, we have some different options here. We have update and we have copy. Now, if I want to go and update something here, that's great. I'm in Jill Skiles, but I'm not going to want to update that for myself. So what I want to do here is I'm just going to change the name here real quick. And I'm going to apply that just because that way then there's no confusion. So you can see over here on the left, I just changed the name so we know that that's for Jill Skiles. Okay. But if I want to make one that's customized for me, I don't want to update it because I would actually change Jill's template so that when she sends it out to her clients, it's getting my information. And, you know, I may not care about that, but I bet you Jill will. So instead, you want to choose the copy option. So I'm going to come down here to the TESS one. Notice that all of the ones here, or this one here with TESS, doesn't have an update option. You can't update it, but you can copy it. So, and it pops up with a name, Client Portal Tasks Verification Copy. So I'm just going to change this out here to Stevens, just since I'm playing with it. Actually, you know what? No, we're going to change this to test or training. And then I'm going to take the copy part off the end. Okay, so the email subject is client tasks from, and it would say, you know, Jennifer Stevens, Never Grow Up Vacations. We're going to get into templates, headers, and footers here in a second. Now, the sharing setting. You can share this with absolutely nobody but yourself. So, you know, an administrator like myself or Jill can actually see those templates, but other agents would not be able to. So it's kind of nice because if you're having problems with a template, I can go in and help you with it. But it's not like, you know, somebody else is going to be like, you know, hey, you know, this is messed up. So you can share it with nobody. I'm going to leave it shared with everyone since it's a training one, and that way you guys can kind of go in around and play with it. Now the header, this is what goes at the top, and I've actually created a Never Grow Up Vacations header, or somebody did. So you can throw that in there if you want. And the footer, the same thing. I have a Stevens footer that I have customized for myself that I'll show you. And the template status is active, so we're going to apply that. Oh, okay, hang on. We're going to do no header and no footer for right now, and we'll come back after we've had a chance to play with that a little bit. All right, so now we've got that. So now I can go in, I can click on it, and I can actually play around with it. So I've gotten a new kind of menu here over at the side, and it gives me that opportunity to insert some different things. I can insert pictures, I can do whatever I want. So, so this template doesn't have a header. So if I want to change the header, I can do that. So let me do that. Let me go in and let me change it to the Never Grow Up Vacations header. And I'm going to change it to the test footer. And we'll do that. Okay, so now the client will get something that has the Never Grow Up Vacations logo at the top, which looks nice and professional. It will have the company name, your first name, your last name, and the website. Perfect. This is the generic test footer, and you can change that. Like I have my own Stevens footer. Where are you? There we go. And I can do that. So it's got some more information. So I've specifically customized this for me with my number, my email address, and so forth. So you can do it that way as well. So it just depends on what you want to do. You'll notice here that there's a spacer, and you'll see we get these funky buttons that kind of come in here. So we can move things around. That's what this is about. So I can kind of play around, and I can actually do that. I don't want to do that. I actually want this back here. Okay, come here, you. Gotta drag it down low enough. There we go. Okay. So you can kind of move things around. Everything here is kind of in a block format. You can see here I've got the blue line underneath that gray. So that kind of marks the end of the block, and it's just a shuffling game. So if you use that green, it's an arrow. You can see the two-way arrows. You can delete it if you want. You can also just go in and edit it. So for the text editing, you know, there's not a lot you can do there, but you can apply that. You can actually just double click. Here, you know, you can go in and double click, and you know, I can change this to concierge type of thing. I can do that. So I can actually just go in and type and change words. Except I spelled concierge wrong. Oops. All right, let's fix that because it'll book me. All right, those types of things. So I can do that. I can insert different placeholders. So let's say I want to, you know, all of us at Never Grow Up Vacations, or, you know, I want something that's going to have my name in it. Well, guess what? I can do that with my first name or my last name. I can do something with the company name, the URL, even with the clients. So these are kind of like merge fields that will pull either from your information or the client's information and automatically go into the template, which is really, really nice as well. So again, you can kind of play around with that as it is. So I just played around with header and footer. You can also use some of this information over here. Now, the grid is actually, you know, you can add some stuff in. So I can actually add in 2 columns. So I have, you know, 2 columns of right now empty space that I just threw in. I can throw in 4 columns, okay? And I can delete those if I want. Yep. And yep, okay. Let's say I've decided, no, I don't want to. With my widgets, this is where I can add some easier things. So I can add a title. I can add text that is left justified. I can enter text that is editable. I can edit add a button of some sort. Let's say probably the most popular, well, spacers, and you can see we have spacers there, so we can throw in another one. I can throw in an image. I could throw in a ruler. The social, you throw in the social. So the social is just the social media block that's here. So you've got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Google+, and there's some more. I'll show you what gets linked because that's for you as an individual, but I'll show you that in a little bit here. And we'll go back to that after we're kind of done playing in here. Let's see here. I want to take that out since we already have one. Yep. But probably the most popular one that people like to add is an image. So I'm going to click and drag that. And I can't take it up above the header because that's part of my header, so I want to put in an image there. So images, you have to be careful with the images that we add. So we want to click on the image and we want to edit it. So we have my images. So these are things that you can upload, which you can. And then there's also the TESS gallery. So I'm going to select TESS gallery. And there's a whole bunch of things. There's, you know, the Disneyland Castle. There's California Adventure. This one's turned the wrong way, which might be tough. Here's a couple for Universal that have been put up. You know, some wine glasses, presumably I would think for food and wine. There's the Disneyland Railroad Station, and that's one page. Looks like somebody actually uploaded a flyer of some sort. I want to show you one that you do need to be careful with. You know, some of these people have used for email campaigns, and I can show you how we can do that on a later one. But that's why you'll see like some of the free dining and so forth. Various screenshots. There is one on here that you should not use. You've even got the Never Grow Up Vacations, and this is the one right here. This authorized Disney vacation planner. Because anything is coming from you as an individual, you are not allowed to use that picture, period. That is per Disney rules. The authorized Disney vacation planner designation is for the agency. So when Disney prints stuff out, because we have that designation, that's fine, because it's about the agency and it's coming from the agency. But this is coming from you as an individual. We are not allowed to use this. We are not allowed to call ourselves authorized Disney vacation planners. We are not allowed to say authorized Disney travel agents. We're not allowed to say any of that. So I've been working on trying to get that one removed, but that is one that we cannot use. So let's just say that this client is going on a cruise. So I'm going to do Castaway Key. So I'm going to select that. And if it's a hyperlink, I can put in the website, but I'm going to apply that and look at that. It inserts it right into whatever I'm making here. which is kind of nice. The last tab here are the options, and that's just the width and the background color. To be honest, I usually leave that alone, just because that way then, you know, it's kind of what you see is what you get, which is kind of nice. Now, if you want to see actually what it looks like, you can preview it. That's what it's going to look like to the client, which is kind of nice. So then you can close the preview, but notice you can also look at what it would look like on a desktop. Okay, that's what it's going to look like on a desktop. You can preview it for an iPad. You can also preview it for mobile. Okay. You can also send it as a test to yourself over here, which is fine. So we're going to save that one. And it's a training one, so nobody's going to use it, which is nice. So if you want to kind of go and have kind of a sandbox, so to speak, to play in, feel free to play in that one. Let's take a look here real quick at the headers. So we've got the TESS header, which is a copy, and then I've got the Never Grow Up Vacations header. So if you wanted to take this and, again, change it, you would just copy it on the previous page, and then you can go in and you can actually edit the Never Grow Up Vacations header. Same thing with the footers. Now, I only have my Stevens footer here, which is fine. But you can copy that and then edit it for yourself. Okay, you can add a new footer if you want, which is great. Same thing with the email templates. If you want to create a new template of some sort, you can do that. But you can see just with the list here, we've got quite a bit of different automation emails. For instance, I have a specific universal welcome back, which looks really slick. It's got the Hogwarts castle there at night with the lights, which is really, really pretty. You know, so that way, you know, if I've got someone who's doing a Universal specific trip, I can actually use that automation email and just set that up for them. Whether it's a workplace extension, I can do that, or I can just send it individually, which is fine. I can also, let's see here. I'll show you my Disney one. Where's it? Disney welcome back. I think that's the one. Boom. So this has got a really awesome picture of the castle. And again, it's got, you know, the verbiage that I've customized and asked them to do. You know, I always ask my clients if they think my service is great to go to my Facebook page and, you know, whether it's to my Facebook page or if it's the Never Grow Up Vacations Facebook page, and leave a review for me, because potential clients do look at that stuff. So that's kind of nice. But you know, you would want to use this because it's going to direct them to my page and not yours, and we want them to put it on yours. So there are some different things that you can do there as well. I'm trying to think what else. You know, we've got a lot of diversity here. You can add a template, and you can choose the template name, you can choose the email subject, you can choose the template type. You know, what's it going to be? Is it one for like when they're traveling? We're going to get into agent and client campaigns here as one of our future ones, so I don't want to get into that just yet. But you can do that. You can, again, you choose the sharing setting. You've got the header footer option and the template status. And then once you've done that, again, it's kind of like a big sandbox where you can go in and kind of construct it how you want. You know, my suggestion is, especially at the early outset, let's see here. I would go and look at these test library ones, so you can sort it by owner. So if you have any that are in there, you know, it'll kind of eliminate yours, but find ones. I mean, they have 27 of them, and some of them are very generic, you know, itinerary detail, proposal detail, that sort of thing. But notice they also have one for Sandals Royal Plantation. They have one, you know, for traveling, you know, check your passports, kind of like get ready, here we go. You know, talking about the spectacular over the water villas. You know, so they have some actually resort specific ones, but see if there's one that you kind of like, and then copy it and massage it and change it for you, whether it's changing out, you know, let me see here, Sugar Beach, St. Lucia, just because the other trip. So this one actually has pictures from Sugar Beach, St. Lucia. So this is like from the resort itself, and then there's some smaller pictures down here. Well, I could change this out and make this for the Windjammer, you know, if I wanted to, and send this to a client in terms of, you know, here's some more information that I was able to glean on this resort. You know, if they want it. I would hope that this is actually a conversation that you're having with them, but you know, if there's certain resorts that you tend to be using a lot, you know, create something like this. It's not hard to do. You know, I could take this and change it and make it for Pop Century if I wanted to. You know, that's what I'm talking about, is that, you know, if you like the format and you like the layout, then you can kind of go in and kind of play around with it to make it what you want. And that's ultimately what you want to do. Now, to close out, I promised you guys I would talk with you guys here about this social block. And let me go back in here, because this has to do with your account. So when you, I'm just going to pull up me so you guys can see. Okay. So you guys have your profile here. With the settings tab, you'll notice here with the social providers, when you fill in these, so I have a Facebook, I have a Twitter, I have an Instagram, I do have a LinkedIn, I just haven't added it. I have a Pinterest, but it's more for me pinning stuff and less for me pushing out stuff. So working on that. There's only so many hours in a day. I do also have a link for the YouTube channel on here. So when I send things out to clients, these actually hyperlink on those little icons. So if my client clicks on the Facebook icon, it will take them to my Facebook page, my business Facebook page. Same thing with my Twitter, same thing with my Instagram, and same thing with the YouTube channel. So those are opportunities for you to showcase things to your client. Now, sometimes it's an accidental, oops, I clicked on there, but when we start talking about client marketing campaigns and client lead campaigns, these become crucial because they're the way that the clients can actually get in touch with you. So, all right, I'm going to stop recording here.